Hey, everybody, this is Craig Garber. Welcome to Everyone Loves Guitar. And I've got, it's always a pleasure for me when I have one of my favorite band members on. We're with Ludovic Naud. He is the singer and bass player from Deadhorse 1. The band is from France. And Ludovic was very kind to come on the show because English is not his first language, but he sounds great to me. Quick announcement, make sure you go to everyonelovesguitar.com/subscribe and subscribe to the audio podcast and the video of the show on YouTube. All righty, brief synopsis about Ludovic and Deadhorse 1. The band came together when Ludovic met guitarist Oliver DeBard. It turns out they had actually met 13 years earlier when Ludovic had seen Oliver opening up for another band when they were when they were both 15 rather. The band has released 4 albums. Is it 4 albums and 2 EPs or three albums and 2 EPs?
3 albums and 2 EPs, yeah.
The band's released 3 albums and 2 EPs over the last 9 years. They've performed at a number of festivals across Europe. Their last album is called The West is the Best. And after almost 10 years of touring and sleeping in loads of crazy places, they have a lot of cool, weird touring stories, which they'll talk to us about. If you've never heard the band Deadhorse 1, I want to encourage you. If you just like to lay back and listen to some very cool, trippy vibes and music that's just going to make you feel good and relax and float away, man, this is a great band to check out. Again, it's Deadhorse 1. All their music's on anywhere you could stream, and they also have a Bandcamp page, and I would encourage you also to like their Facebook page, Deadhorse 1. Ludovic, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks to you.
My pleasure, man. Okay, so where you guys are in France, correct?
Yeah, we are in France. You can hear it from my
Whereabouts? Where in France?
We are in the south of France, in a place called Valence. That's a small town, and
okay.
We are all living nearby Valence.
Valence, okay. And when you tour, where do you tend to tour?
We are touring mainly in France, small venues, and sometimes we go abroad in the UK, in Belgium, Germany, and we played a few gigs across Europe. Not the south of Europe. We never went to Italy and Spain, and the north is good for us.
Very cool. Have you guys ever been to the States?
No, never. But we would like to come to the States.
It's so expensive. I have so many great bands that I've spoken to over in Europe. It's like crazy the cost to come here, man.
Yeah, and it's kind of difficult for us to plan a trip there and to play some music. And but we will do it someday.
I hope so, man.
Yeah.
Do you know where your fan base is? Do you have a lot of? I'm assuming you have a lot of fans here.
Yeah, mainly in the US. I think like we if we check our Spotify account and all the vinyls and CDs, it's mainly in the States, in Australia.
Yeah.
There's a fan base there. And Japan also. We have a few fans in Japan, and it's France for us. It's only like 10% of our
really.
Fans. Yeah.
That's weird. That's interesting, man.
Yeah, I think it's the kind of music we make. It's not really a French kind of music. We sing in English. It's
right.
Quite dark, and the voices are not in the front of the songs, and I think this is not the kind of music French people really listen to.
Interesting.
It's not the French culture to listen to shoegaze.
So how did you guys get into, first of all, explain what shoegazing is, that genre, because like to me, it's funny. I always considered you a stoner rock band, probably because I found you on a site that recommended stoner rock bands. But over the last few days, I listened to the whole catalog again, and I said, yeah, I could see why they classify them as shoegazing, because there's a lot of well, why don't you explain what shoegazing is? Because that's the best. Yeah, that's the best way.
Shoegazing, it's I think it was in the 80s. I think it was a journalist from NME that invented that term. And it was at that time maybe to talk about My Bloody Valentine or the first shoegazing bands, and it was nothing that he ever listened to, even heard of, and he saw them live, and they were like.
Did you know if your guitar, bass, pedals, or any of your music gear is damaged, broken, or stolen outside your home, your homeowner's insurance policy will not provide coverage for any of it? That's right. Homeowner's insurance only pays if something happens inside your home and if the items are not used for business purposes. But Music Pro Insurance insures all your music gear no matter where it is, anywhere in the world, even when you check it in as baggage on an airline. Here, let me give you some actual examples of coverage they've provided. You're in a car accident and your equipment is damaged, boom, you're covered. Your kid pours apple juice into your amplifier, covered. Someone accidentally spills beer all over your pedal board at a gig, covered. In fact, any kind of theft or accidental damage is covered, even water damage from hurricane and breakage from earthquakes. But here's what makes Music Pro really different. They're not going to argue with you over the value of your instrument or make you run around looking for receipts when it comes to paying your claim. They know exactly why your vintage instrument is worth 10 times more than a new one. Plus, all claims are typically paid and fully settled in 24 to 48 hours. So if your equipment is not insured properly, go to everyonelovesguitar.com/Music Pro. Hit standard and then enter your information and get a free gear protection estimate. Don't be that musician who ignores this and then next month when something happens, you're wondering why you didn't take 10 minutes to do this properly. Make sure you go to everyonelovesguitar.com/Music Pro, enter your information and get a free gear protection estimate. This way, when something happens, you won't lose a minute of sleep because you took care of this already. I want to talk to you about the Bose S1, which is an amazing speaker for acoustic guitars that I've been playing lately. The S1 has two separate channels. It has one for your guitar and then another one for a microphone. And then there's a third channel you can use for a looper or for backing tracks that you could access by Bluetooth or through a 1/8 inch plug. And the S1s are also very easy to carry. It's got an easy to grab top handle and absolutely anyone can tote it around, and it's also rechargeable for up to 11 hours. The S1 was specifically designed to optimize the sound of your acoustic guitar on acoustic guitar gigs. The guitar and mic channels each have separate tone, volume, and reverb controls, and there's also a proprietary tone match switch which restores and optimizes the natural sound of your acoustic guitar, which, as you know, is typically the biggest problem with acoustic amps. Now, I tested the S1 myself, and the tone, volume, and reverb controls sound great, and they're very responsive. You can position the S1 in 4 different ways. You can tilt it back so you broadcast out to an audience, or you could put it horizontally, vertically, or on a stand. And the cool thing is the S1 has a Bose accelerometer, so it automatically adjusts the EQ and optimizes the sound for whichever one of these 4 positions you're using. The S1 also happens to be the best Bluetooth speaker that Bose makes, which is pretty compelling since Bose is known for the quality of their Bluetooth speakers. So effectively, you have an acoustic guitar amp, a PA, and a killer Bluetooth speaker all in one. And the bottom line is this. If you're an acoustic guitar player, there's absolutely nothing out there that sounds this good and this big that's also easy to carry and battery powered. As far as the Bluetooth speaker goes, I've used it many times here at home for family barbecues, and the sound is so good, my kids wind up arguing over who gets to play the music they want. You know, it's literally like having a full stereo system out on your patio. You can use the S1 for DJing, tailgating, or whatever you want. Before this, you'd have to spend a bunch of money on loads of different speakers and pedals to get the same thing the S1 does on its own. On top of that, it looks great just like all Bose devices do. And besides whatever money back guarantee you get from wherever you buy the S1, Bose also warranties the S1 for 2 years for any kind of defects in materials or performance. For more information and to find out where to get your own S1, go to everyonelovesguitar.com/S1. That's everyonelovesguitar.com/S1. Get the S1. It's outstanding. Are you looking to buy or sell a home in the Tampa Bay area without having to deal with pushy realtors? Then make sure you connect with West Florida Real Estate. West Florida Real Estate has helped over 300 homeowners and investors buy and sell their properties over the last 5 years. Their service is outstanding, just like back in the days when there was actually service in the service business, and you'll never have to deal with any kind of sales junk when you're working with them. For more information, email Ann with an E at westfloridarealestate.com. That's ANNE at westfloridarealestate.com. If you're enjoying this show and you'd like to support it, go to everyonelovesguitar.com/support. And for information on advertising, visit everyonelovesguitar.com/advertise.
The face pointing at their shoes, gazing at their pedal effect pedals, guitar effect pedals, and they didn't talk to the public, and they were just looking at their shoes. And he wrote that it was shoegazing music because
it's funny.
Yeah, and it's because of the effect pedals that are used a lot in that genre of music.
Do you guys talk to your audience, or do you stare at your shoes?
No, we are very bad at talking to our audience. Even in French, where it's easy to speak French, we are very bad. I make some bad jokes, and we don't really connect with the audience. It's
That's
sad,
it.
but it's true.
But your English is really good. Where did you learn English?
Oh, it's because I listen to music in English. I watch movies in English. I don't talk English all the time at home, or just if we want with my wife. If you want our children to not understand what we are saying.
You're talking English. That's good.
But I never lived abroad. I just I'm into the American culture, music, movies, and all that stuff. So I like to speak English.
Your English is great, man. So congratulations.
Oh,
much better than my French. We would struggle if I had to speak French.
Okay.
So how did you? If shoegazing is not real popular in France, it's interesting that you guys all came together. How did you get into this kind of music?
It's mainly because Olivier, the founder of the band, lived in England. I think he was living in London when shoegazing was really strong there.
Okay.
And he listened to the early bands and Creation Records and all the bands that were on Creation Records. And I think it's a genre that he loves. And for myself, I discovered shoegazing, maybe the second wave of this kind of music. I like this kind of music because it's kind of noisy. You have to feel the energy, and it's not something you listen to really to relax. You have to think about the music, to hear every sound, because there are a lot of sounds.
There's a lot going on.
And the voices are, for us, we are trying to make sweet harmonies with the voices, to make a contrast with the kind of violence of the music, the wall of sound of the music. And I like to listen to bands like that, because you have to make an effort to hear the beauty of the voices and the melody of the instruments. So I think it's an intellectual style of music. You have to be there and to listen to it. That's what I like. It's not easy. you have to reach for it when you listen to it.
And it's funny, see, when I listen to you guys, I'm so relaxed. I just get absorbed in that wall of sound, as you mentioned. It's like,
Yeah,
it's very, it's like, honestly, I haven't thought about this, but it's probably good music to have a drink to. And then like, if you have a romantic,
okay.
it's like very relaxing, man. But it's got a lot of energy coming out.
Yeah. We get that a lot. That it feels. I have a friend. He had a kid like he's like 6 months old. It's a little baby, and he plays our record to get him to sleep. And I was like, yeah, okay, to go to sleep. Yeah, why not? Yeah. Maybe it's boring for him. And he said no, he likes it because he listens to it. He listens to it. And I think you can. That's the kind of music you can float in it, because there's a lot of sound, and the work is about the texture of the sound. And you can just relax and listen to it, and you don't have to really think about it. But if you want to think about it, you can get something from it if you listen closely. With the headphones, you can hear that this part there are keyboards that do that, and this part there are guitars that do that very sweet sound and a very rough sound, and all mashed up together. It makes a texture of sound, and you can relax to it. Yeah. No,
let's talk about that, because you guys, and all the words that you're using was in my question. You do a great job. Deadhorse One does a great job of creating like very beautiful textured layers of sound in the songs, and it's a wall of sound, but somehow it's not overwhelming. Everything sort of fits. And I was curious, from a production standpoint, is there any, because a lot of musicians are listening to this, is there any, and like you said, the background, you guys, there's vocals, but it's not a vocal, you really use the vocals as harmonies to support and blend in with this wall of sound. How do you, any sort of tricks, or like, how do you do that so well in the studio?
In the studio, we take a lot of takes of the guitars and the voices, the harmonies, and maybe we have like 30 or 40 takes of guitar.
Oh wow,
it's a lot. And we do that because we want to have the material to work with, and sometimes we only use like 5 tracks, and we recorded 30 tracks, and that job, we do that when we record and we mix the tracks together. But we also had the help of Mark Gardner from Ride. And he did a terrific job with it. He really understands where we want to get, and he did a lot of work to blend the tracks together, and to make the songs very strong but very sweet at the same time, because we are not a stoner band, and we don't work with riffs, heavy riffs of guitars.
Right.
And we just want to create a texture of sound, and Mark Gardner is the man for it. If you want to do shoegazing music, he's the best.
He's your mix engineer?
He's the singer of Ride, the band, a shoegazing band. That was quite famous in the late 80s and early 90s, and they are back together, and they made 2 albums in the last year, and they are quite famous in the UK, And
the band is Ride, R-I-D-E.
Ride, yeah.
Very cool. I'll have to check them out. And so he's your engineer when you do the.
And he do the mixing of the songs.
Yeah.
So we record in our studio, and we send him the tracks, and he do the rest of the stuff.
Very cool. It's every record sounds great too, man. It's really, really cool.
Thank you.
You've put out 3 records and 2 EPs over the last 9 years. That's a lot of, that's a very consistent output. I give you credit. I was curious, where do you record, and maybe what changes have taken place for the band over this time, musically and otherwise?
We have recorded in the different places at every album.
Mm-hmm.
The first EP was recorded in a real studio with a real sound engineer, and it was like 5 days of a studio, and we had only 4 tracks for that EP, and that Heavenly Choir of Jet Engines. And
what a great title, man! The Heavenly Choir of Jet Engines. That's such a cool title, isn't it?
That sums up what we.
What's going? Yeah, you know what? You're right. That's a Heavenly Choir of Jet Engines. Right. That does sum up what you guys are doing.
And we recorded in that studio, and it was too short for us, and we didn't get to make as many tracks as we wanted. And this EP is kind of minimalist for us. There are a lot of tracks, but we wanted to make more vocals and more guitars, but we didn't have the time. So for the other albums, we recorded it, that was more like home studio made, and we recorded one in a venue in Valence, in a concert venue. One we recorded at a rehearsal place we have in Valence, and the other one we recorded it. The last one we recorded it at Antoine's place. That's our drummer slash guitarist slash everything else. At the small place in the mountains. And we recorded there. It was great. We could see the mountains and drink red wine.
That's cool, man.
Record music. It was a good time. Yeah.
And what changes have occurred with the band, if any, over time, as far as like how you approach music or just how you think about playing together?
I must say it's all about Olivier Debard's mood.
Interesting.
He was listening a lot of shoegazing bands, but a lot of psychedelic bands like the Brian Johnston Massacre.
Mm-hmm.
And the first EP and the first album is kind of that kind of music. And then we went more into the shoegazing style and the raw style. And now we are still shoegazing, still shoegazers, but we add a little grunge music to it.
Yeah.
We want to make it more easier to catch live with a lot of energy, and we are driving towards that.
Well, whatever you're doing, it sounds great. I got to tell you. And I want to apologize, Olivier. I kept calling you Oliver. I'm sorry. I thought I was being fancy, like understanding the French pronunciation, but I was just incorrect. So I'm sorry, Olivier.
No. I call him Oliver too. Oliver.
Okay, good. I feel a little better.
Yeah.
What's the music scene in France like right now, and what are the biggest challenges for musicians?
I think the music scene in France is very difficult for small bands because everything is mainly driven by the radios and the marketing of the songs, and it's not very a good thing. A lot of people in France, I think this is my opinion, are listening what the radios are playing, and they don't want to listen to other things. They are not very curious. It's beginning to change with Spotify and all that music platforms, because they make you listen to other things, not only what the radios are playing. But for the small bands, it's very difficult to get articles in the press, to get concerts. The venues are struggling to have people coming to the concerts. It's very difficult for the small bands.
Yeah. I give you a lot of credit because you've put out a lot of records. That means you've probably funded most of this by yourself. Yeah. I really, a lot of respect to you to do that. I mean, it's great music, you know, and hopefully you get a bunch more listeners. You're a great band, and you deserve it.
Yeah, and thanks to you, we are going to have a lot more listeners.
I hope so, man. I really do. What's going on there with the coronavirus? I know we sort of talked about this earlier. I'm just curious because everybody here is, like they're shutting all the colleges and universities here. It's like, spring break where the kids are home, and they said, don't come back. They shut down, man, like big institutions.
No, we are in France. They are canceling all the big events in the stadiums and the big venues over 1,000 people. They are canceling all of that. They closed a few schools where the virus is spreading fast. So I think the authorities are trying to contain the virus in small places. But I think this is every day there are more and more people getting sick, and some of them dying. And it's not that crazy in France, but in Italy, for example, it's crazy. They closed the whole country.
I saw that. I saw these pictures of like big. Not shopping malls, but big, churches and just halls where people normally walk in cities. There's nobody there.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
I think the prime minister of Italy said, "Stay at home. Don't come to work. Don't go out. Don't go out. We have to go through this I think that's very crazy, and I hope in France it won't be like that. Italy is just right, like it's at 200 kilometers from where I live. So
wow,
it's very close, and well, we'll see.
Yeah, man, let's hope for the best. My wife is from England, and her mom was telling her that some of the people in England, they're talking about shutting off a part of the country like they did in Italy.
Yeah. So because it's spreading very fast, and it's true that some people are dying. So we don't know where we are going. So some of the countries are trying to contain this very quick. Because we don't know where we are going. Yeah.
It's pretty crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
All right, so. Talk about, I know you have some interesting stories from some of your overnight touring trips. If you could share a few of the stranger ones or more interesting experience or funny or whatever you like.
Yeah.
Talk about the one with the horns. That was pretty funny.
Yeah. This one, I think that was the best. I will remember that all my life. We were playing in London. I don't remember the name of the venue, and I think it was our second show in London, and the plan was to stay at the other band's place, to sleep there. And when we got to their van, we had to be at the back of the van without any doors, door handles at the back, without any windows. We had to sit in the dark and go through London. And we said, we cannot do that. We have to think about something else. And Ivan, who plays the keyboards in the band, had a friend there that night, and she told us, "Yeah, you can come to my place. It's okay." And she was living like at the other end of London. We had to take the bus and walk with the instruments, the amps,
with all your equipment. Oh my God!
That was. We had like 2 hours of bus and walking, and so this part was crazy. But the crazier part was that she was living in with a few people at the place. She had a lot of roommates. And the owner of the place was living with them. So obviously we arrived like at 3 a.m. and we didn't see him, but we realized that there was some sculptures on the walls and some stuff we couldn't really identify. And when we woke up at like 8 or 9, that guy that woke us up. We were sleeping in the couch at the entrance of the place, and he was into body modification, and he was pretty good. He was well known in that field, and so he woke us up, and the first thing we saw was that guy with the horns on his head, and telling us, "What are you doing here? This is my place. Who are you?" He saw just 5 guys sleeping on his couch. He was not aware that we were sleeping at his place, and so it was early, and we decided that even if our plane was like 6 or 7 hours later,
time to go.
Time to go. We should use.
So the guy had actual horns on his head.
Yeah. He had the screws to.
Wow.
You put the horns on. Yeah.
Wow. Life is tough enough without horns,
Yeah. But, we checked him out on the internet, and he was well known and quite famous in that field. So
wow. Yeah. Hey man, he might have convinced one of you guys to get horns. It's a good thing that you left.
No. we really didn't have time to talk about it.
So what is another strange story?
Oh, we had a lot. We slept in garages, and we slept in place at a friend's place in Paris, and we discovered that their father had bought a lot of expensive guitars from eBay. And so we arrived in that paradise, the heaven for guitarists.
Yeah.
We discovered that it had Rickenbackers from the 60s and all that stuff. And he was not even playing with it. They were just like playing around in the cases. And so we played like 2 hours on those guitars. And it was pretty crazy. Yeah.
That's cool. That's a good story. Yeah.
And we slept like it was in Marseille, a place in the south of France.
Okay.
We slept there. There was a lot of bands, and it was an artist place. So they were making very strange sculptures, and we had to sleep in a room filled with goat. How do you say the cranium of the goat? And,
goat skulls.
Goat skulls, and put on like babies' bodies.
Oh my God! Yeah, that's creepy as hell.
Yeah, and we had to sleep drunk as hell in that place with the walls moving and all those.
Wow.
strange things. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty creepy, man. You make big sacrifices to make music for sure.
Yeah, and we are a small band, so we when we tour, we don't always have like nice places to stay. We just stay at friends' places or friends
Sure.
of friends' places, and it's getting crazy sometimes. And once we had a hotel, but we had 3 hotel rooms, and one key wasn't working, so there were the spare key at the reception, but it was like 2 a.m. so there was nobody there, so we had to open a safe to get the key, and we entered the room, and there was already somebody sleeping in the room.
Awesome.
And so we were like, okay, so get out of the place, close the door, and so I had to sleep on the floor. We had a hotel, and I had to sleep on the floor.
Man, you can't win.
No. I'm a loser.
That was terrible, man. Thanks for telling me. Those are funny stories, man, especially the horn one. Hey, so where did you grow up?
I grew up around here. It's a very small town. It's called Privas. It's very small. There are less than 10,000 people in that.
So is that like the country?
Yeah, it's like the countryside. It's not very urban, and I grew up there until I was 18 years old, and I got to move for my studies. And at that time as well, I was playing music with my friends when I was at school, but it was a very small town. It was the countryside, so we didn't really have access. Internet wasn't a thing yet.
Yeah.
So to have access to good music, it was difficult. But it was okay. It was okay. Small towns are okay.
What was your childhood like growing up in this small town?
What was it like? It was very simple. We went to school. We went back to the house. We went to a friend's place. We were playing music. Everything was very, very simple. And we didn't have our smartphones all day long. And we rode our bikes. It was simpler times.
Yeah. Did any of your parents play music?
No, not at all. And they don't play music, and they don't even listen to music. My father listens to classical music. Music, he likes it, and my mom, she listens to some French singers, but she's not that into music. And when I was a child, someone offered me a CD, my first CD as a child. I don't really remember what it was. And I was like, this is good. I like music. I would like to purchase another CD. And my mom said, why bother? You already have a CD.
You already have one. You don't need another one.
You don't need another one. And,
that's funny.
they're not that into music.
Yeah, that's why. What kind of work did they do?
My mom was working at the archives.
Like a library?
Like a library, but for old documents.
Oh, okay. For the government, for the local government?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like that. And my father was working in a museum, like a geology museum.
Okay.
And so nothing to do with music.
Interesting. So when did you know that you wanted to play music for a living? And how did you come to that decision?
First, I don't live with the money that make with the music, I have to work
Sure.
to be able to pay for the expensive tours
Yeah.
of Deadhorse one and expensive records. So I don't live from my music.
Sure.
I have a work. I work in road constructions. So
Yes, I remember you told me that. Yeah.
yeah, and but when I was like 11, I learned the guitar, and at 12 or 13, and I wrote my first songs, and I discovered that I could create something that that wasn't existing before, and so every day I was playing music, and after that I tried to record my first songs, and I like that, the way that you can create with nothing, with just
Yeah.
a guitar, a small keyboard, and you can create small songs. And I always wanted to do that for living if I had the chance to do it and to get well paid for that, but that's not the case. So
Yet.
no, I cannot see my life without music and
Yeah.
creating music. And
When did you start playing bass?
I started. I don't know. I always played both the guitar and bass guitar.
Oh, that's
Uh,
cool.
And I think that was like 10 or 12 years ago. I bought a Rickenbacker for 003. And this one.
Yeah, man, I saw that when we first started.
Yeah. And I didn't have a band at that time where I could play the bass. And so I started with a Deadhorse one a few years later to play the bass.
Hmm. That's cool, man. Are you the primary writer, or you and Olivier?
Sorry, what?
The main writer, the songwriter, is you, or both you and Olivier?
It's mostly Olivier.
Okay.
He writes almost every songs. I wrote two songs on the last two albums. The last one I didn't write a song for it, and Olivier is the main writer, and even my songs he puts them into different pieces, and he works with it to make it consistent for the whole album.
Yeah, your music is very consistent, man. To be honest with you, and the way you another good thing, the order of your songs.
Yeah.
You know, because an album, to me, when I want to listen to a record, it's like I want to go on a little trip.
Yeah.
And the journey of the albums are always very nice with you guys. You know, it's like the beginning and the middle and the end, and it just feels good. Yeah, very much.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, because we put a lot of work to do the track list of the album.
Yeah,
and we see it exactly as you see it. It must be a journey. We don't make albums just to listen to one song there, one song there.
Yeah.
If you want to really understand what we are trying to do, you have to listen for the whole album, and you can see a pattern of what we want to do. The same pattern, you can see it in every song.
Yes.
A story we tell, and yeah, thanks. Thank you.
Yeah, you guys do a great job with that. You could tell you put a lot of effort into it, because the whole thing just feels very complete. And it was interesting because I was just this morning listening to Without Love We Perish.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I looked up, I said, oh, the album must be over, because then the first song from Season of Mist, Insight, came on. And sure enough, I knew right away it was this was not part of the last record.
Okay.
It was like the next trip, the next leg of the journey, sort of, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah.
Hey, what were some of the low points that you've had to go through in life, and how did you get through them? That's a very American question. I know. If you don't want to answer it, you're uncomfortable. That's totally cool.
Yeah, no. That's okay. I must say I didn't have a very low points where I had bad thoughts and all that stuff. But
congratulations.
Yeah. Thanks. But I had a rough year. It was 10 years ago. I broke my back snowboarding.
Holy shit, that's a major injury.
I broke 2 vertebrae, and I had to stay at home like 3 months with I don't know how do you say that, but corset in France. In French.
You were bedridden, basically.
Yeah. And it was difficult because it was painful, and I couldn't sleep. I was on medication all the time, and it was a bad 3 months, and it still hurts today sometimes. And it was 10 years ago, so yeah, that was not. I think that was my lowest point in life. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, man, I'm glad your lowest point is behind you instead of ahead of you.
Yeah. I hope. We don't know.
I know. Well, you'd be optimistic, right?
Yeah.
What you see a lot of concerts in France?
Yeah. I try to go out every time I can to see live music, because it's always interesting to see bands you like on the album.
Yeah.
And to think when you listen to the album, you think how they do that live, and when you see it, you can understand what they do. Sometimes it's very different, and I really enjoy live music. It's cool.
What are some of the best concerts you've seen that you could remember off the top of your head?
I've seen. I think the best one, the one I remember the best, is the Flaming Lips.
Oh yeah.
I saw them in Spain. It was in Barcelona at the Primavera Festival. I don't remember the year, but it was crazy. Have you ever seen the Flaming Lips?
I have not seen them in concert. I'm not 100% that familiar with their music, actually. I know the band, but I'm not that familiar with their music.
Very psychedelic music, and they played all my favorite songs from the band, and it was crazy because their live shows are very colorful. A lot of confettis in the air, a lot of it was kind of magical, because everything was in its right place at that time, and
that's cool.
Yeah, that was perfect. Yeah, kind of perfect.
How far is Spain? How far is Barcelona? How do you get there? Do you drive, or do you fly over there?
Yeah, we drove there. It's like a 10-hour drive.
Oh, that's a big commitment. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. But it was cool. It's a cool festival. It's very huge. There are a lot of scenes, but it's very eclectic. There are urban music and folk music and stoner bands and bands like the Flaming Lips, psychedelic bands, and it's very interesting festival.
That's cool, man. If I say Desert Island Discs, do you know what I'm referring to?
No.
Okay, so top 3, what they call Desert Island Discs, like the top 3 albums you'd want to take if you had to be on a desert island.
Yeah, I'm very bad at that kind of questions, because
everybody is. Everybody is. It's tough. It's a ridiculously tough question.
Yeah, but I can try to answer. I think one of my favorite albums that every time I listen to one song, I must listen to the whole record, is the Sufjan Stevens, Kerry and Lowell. Sufjan Stevens, do you know that?
I've heard that name. I have no idea who is it. It's a guy.
Yeah, it's a guy. Sufjan. It's written SUFJAN, Stevens.
And he's a French artist.
No. He's from the US, and
that's weird.
yeah, and he makes a lot of different styles. He has like maybe 10 or 15 records out, and
What's the sorry? What's the name of the one you like?
Carrie and Lowell.
Carrie and Lowell.
Carrie and Lowell, and Carrie is his mother, and Lowell is a stepfather. And,
that's an interesting name of a record, isn't it? Carrie and Lowell.
Yeah, and it's very personal. It's very sad, and he wrote and recorded this album after the death of his mother, and I think she died from cancer, and he wasn't even that close to his mother, but he had to deal with the grief and the pain of losing someone that was very important in his life, and he wrote that very minimalist record, and it's simple. The lyrics are I don't even know the words to describe it. It's very good record. Very sad. A lot of melancholy in it, but a great piece of work. Yeah.
Man, thank you for mentioning that. I'm going to check him out. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sufjan Stevens, what else?
I'm a lot into Elliott Smith.
Oh yeah. Oh, you're into some dark shit, man. You know, it's funny. You seem like such an optimistic, happy guy. It's like really easy to talk to you. You seem really positive and you listen to really dark music. That's funny.
Yeah, because I really think the best music is written and recorded when you are sad, because it's you. For me, when I write music, I have the feeling. I have a feeling that I want to express, and I'm not. I prefer to do it with the music.
Yeah.
To write meaningful lyrics about it. I don't want to go to therapy or something like that.
Or put horns on your head.
Yeah, or put horns on my head. Definitely not that.
Good choice.
Yeah, and I like to listen to folk artists, and I also like the music when it's created by only one person that records and writes all that stuff, because it's really the work of it's like you take the brain of that person and you press it and you make it music with it, and and it's very it's very meaningful. It's not one guy plays that and one does that and one writes that, and Sufjan Stevens and Elliott Smith are like that.
Yeah, Elliott Smith is dark stuff. There's one album of his I listen to a lot. I don't remember the name of it, but he's a dark cat. He committed suicide, right?
Yeah. It's I think there's an investigation that never ended.
Oh, really?
They don't really know if he committed suicide or if it was another thing, but they.
Interesting.
Yeah. And but by the look of the lyrics, he could have committed suicide.
Yeah, for sure. It wouldn't be surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a pretty dark cat, man. He was a young kid too.
Yeah, yeah. And,
I mean, compared to me, not compared to you. Okay, so Sufjan Stevens, Elliott Smith will be the third.
And the third one. I think one of the Big Thief. Do you know that band, Big Thief?
Big Thief.
Big Thief. Yeah.
No, I don't. But you're turning me on to a lot of new music that I'm going to have to check out.
Yeah, they have 4 albums, and if I had to choose between the 4, that would be difficult. And it's a band I discovered recently, but I think it's one of my favorite bands.
Big Thief.
Yeah.
I'm going to check. Man, you've turned me on to 3 new people. Thank you. That's great. Well, I knew Elliott Smith, but Sufjan Stevens and Big Thief I'm going to check out. And the Flaming Lips. All right. So let me ask you this question, Mr. Dark Music Lover. Tell me what makes you happy.
Not music.
That's a great, you know what, man, when you can make jokes in another language, that means you really have you know the language. That's really cool, man. That was good. Congrats. That was awesome.
What makes me happy? I must say, I have to say that my children. I think since my first daughter was born, it's a life-changing experience.
Oh,
Every parent says that, but it's true, and I can't. I know they are making me happy because I can't remember what was making me happy before they were born.
Yeah, that's funny.
So I know my happiness today comes from little things like talking to them and learn stuff with them, and it's cool to be a parent. It's exhausting, but it's cool.
It is exhausting and cool. And you said your wife speaks English. Is she French or is she American? Or
she's French, but she spent 1 year in Scotland and 1 year in England. So
okay, so she learned English, obviously.
Yeah.
That's really good. It's funny here. The same thing here when people are from other countries and they don't want their kids to know, they switch to another they switch to their native language. It's very funny to hear that you switch to English. That was funny, man. Who's had the biggest influence on you musically and then also personally?
Tough questions.
Yeah, I know.
I think musically for the kind of music I like to write and record. Again, it's Elliott Smith. It's the way that he plays with the words. Every sentence has a double meaning. It's very intelligent. It's very sad, of course, but
very sad, man.
Yeah, very sad, but and the music, the style, how he played the guitar, the finger picking, was a bridge between the folk music, traditional like Bob Dylan and all that stuff, and the pop music, and the mix between the two styles, pop and folk, with dark lyrics. It had a huge impact on me, and musically, it's wonderful. It's very good music, and so it had a strong impact on me personally and musically. Yeah.
Very cool. Do you have any hobbies outside of music?
Not really. I don't really have the time to.
I was just thinking that as I asked. I said, "This guy's got 2 little kids. He's got no hobbies, man."
Yeah, when I get out of work, I have to take care of the kids, and when I play music, it's my main hobby.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
What's your favorite place you traveled?
Oh, I think it was Iceland.
Really? What do you like about that?
Well, I like a lot of stuff about Iceland. First, there is nobody there. It's empty. You can drive for hours without seeing anyone and any house or
really
other car.
Interesting.
I went there, like it was like 10 or 12 years ago. I think it has changed because they opened up the country to tourism, mass tourism, and so I think it's changed. But when I was there, it was very quiet, and the main thing about Iceland is that the landscapes, they are marvelous, and you are like crushed by the beauty of the landscapes, and you can feel that yourself as a little human, you don't matter on the planet. You don't matter. If there's a volcano in Iceland that wants to crush you and get rid of all the humans, the earth can do that, and in Iceland you can see that you are nothing on the planet.
I understand how you feel about that, because I had never been to the Pacific Northwest, which is like north of California, Oregon, Washington State. It's the same thing, man. It's just majestic. It's so beautiful, and you realize how small you are.
Yeah.
As you're going through these massive mountains. Yeah, it's really beautiful. It's a good. It's funny though, but I wonder if, because like you grew up in a small town and you're very comfortable with nobody around you.
Yeah.
I grew up in New York City, so I'm like, when no one's around me, I freak out.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I need, like, if I go somewhere and it's like super, super quiet, I'm better now because I've been living out in New York for a while now, but I'm much more comfortable when there's like millions of people around me. And because I feel safe, like, okay, because you have to have that mindset of safety when you grew up in New York, especially in the 1970s, which is not safe. So you feel like, oh, if anything happens, there's people around, so I'm good. If I'm in the middle of the wilderness, I freak out a bit.
Yeah. But when I'm surrounded by a lot of people, when I go to Paris, there are people everywhere.
Right.
I feel alone. I feel alone. It's very lonely to be surrounded by those people you don't know, and for me, it's exactly the same loneliness that you feel when you are in the Iceland with nobody around. It's just you. It's just you.
That's interesting. Yeah, it's probably because of where we both grew up. What you're used to, what the energy of where you are.
Yeah,
that's cool, man. 2 more questions. Tell me about an experience that changed your life or changed the way you think about things.
I think once again it's the children. Because before that I could picture myself without children. But after that, I couldn't live without them, and I couldn't picture myself without them. And I think it changed me, I hope for the better, but it changed everything.
Yeah.
So this experience is a tough one, but it changes a lot of stuff. Some stuff you did before don't matter anymore. Crazy stuff, stupid stuff like heavy drinking or taking a lot of different products to
research.
For research. You don't want to do that now because they count on you, and it changes a lot of things. Yeah.
It's funny, even when they get older, like my kids are much older. One's 29, one's 27, and one's 20. When they come over the house with their own families now, and I never really drink. Even like maybe once in a while I'll have a drink, because I always feel, I mean, they're big, they could protect me, but I always feel like, man, I need to
protect them.
Yeah. I don't want to like get a buzz. And then like if something it's a very weird thing. You always feel that no matter how old they are, you feel that, and they, and they still hug you and kiss you and all that cool stuff. But I never let go of that for whatever reason. So it's interesting. I understand exactly how you're saying, man. And last question, which is not on here. What has been the biggest change in your personality over the last, let's say, 5 to 7 years? And how much of that change was intentional on your part, and how much was just a natural part of aging?
that's very personal. I think that when I was young, I had anxiety issues, and I uh, I wasn't very talkative, and I preferred to listen to music. Uh, I prefer to be alone,
Hmm.
to listen to music, to do what I want to do, and it kind of nourished that anxiety. Yeah, you just self-centered, and your anxiety that just keep growing inside your head. And I don't know when or where or why, but someday that disappeared.
That's
And
great.
I never went to therapy or or something like that. But I don't know. I just changed, and now I don't have the anxiety crisis or anything, and I look at life the best way I can, and I try to be optimistic. And yeah, I'm really happy that changed without doing anything different. But that I think my personality is very different now that it was like 15 or 20 years ago.
Man, that's you. I cannot. That's a tough question, and you answered it in English like perfectly, man. Anytime anybody, you don't think your English is great, man, because you told me when we first spoke, well, I don't know my English. Your English is awesome. That was a tough question, and you just boom banged it out. So like,
Okay.
don't ever worry, man. And I'm happy for you. And you know what? That's a very common thing for musicians. I think a lot. I've interviewed so many people that have told me they were very shy, very withdrawn, isolated, and spent all this time with music. And I think to some extent you have to, because to become good at playing an instrument, you've got to be really comfortable with isolation.
Yeah.
Because you got to spend hours in your room listening, practicing, listening. And so that's a very common thing. And a lot of musicians have grown out of that. So what your experience is very common actually amongst many people I've spoken to.
Yeah. But the counterpart or the world is when I was in that state, when I was alone in my room playing music, writing songs, it came easily.
Yeah,
it was natural to record. The lyrics came naturally. It was easy. Now when I play music, it's I don't have all the time in the world because work, kids,
yeah,
and
kids,
that
yeah.
stuff. And sometimes on the weekends, I'm like, I'm gonna write a song and record it, and I'm like, what I am talking about, and I don't have any problems to talk about.
It's great, man.
So it's harder now to write music because I have no pain in me to express.
that's a good thing.
That's
yeah,
a good thing.
It's a really good thing.
But musically, it's weird now to write songs. You have to find other topics, not to tell that you're sad and you're lonely, and it's not easy. You have to be more poetic about little things. It's different.
Yeah, man. Well, listen, you're a lovely guy, man, and I really appreciate your time. And thank you so much for coming on the show. I love your music, and keep making great music. If you ever come to the States, please let me know.
Yeah, of course.
That would be really nice to meet in person. And if I'm in, maybe I'll be visiting you know what? I might be in France too in a couple of years because we're going to go over there. We haven't done Europe yet. So I'll let you know when I'm in France.
Yeah.
For sure, man. Listen, let me tell people where to find you guys, and I want everybody to please check out the band Deadhorse One. It's a great band. I mean, there's everything beautiful about their music, man. You just listen and float away. incredible engineering, incredible production. You'll be, I mean, I'm very moved when I listen to anything you guys do. You could start, like, all their stuff, like I said, is on streaming, and it's also on Bandcamp. Just start back. Their first record or EP was just called Deadhorse 1 back in 2012. The opening song, Raven, is what not only a 5-star song for me, but I got a heart there. It's one of my all-time favorite songs. Great music. I mean, this is a really cool band, and it's very relaxing, and it's a background to anything that you want to do. It's real easy to get a good vibe off these guys. Also, go to their Facebook page. If you're in Europe, especially, sign up to the Deadhorse 1 Facebook page and like the page. Everybody liked the page just because they're cool guys and they came on the show, and Ludovic was kind enough to spend his time with us. So go like the Facebook page. And but if you're in Europe, pay attention, because if they're playing shows, that's where they post it, and just let them know that you heard them on Everyone Loves Guitar and that you appreciate their music and what they're doing. Anything else I missed?
For the interview?
Yeah, I mean, anything else you want me to promote or talk about, or?
Maybe our last album, The West is the Best.
The West is the Best.
Came out in last November. It's actually sold out, but we will make more very soon. So
it's a great record. The songs I love on there is The Shrine. You have one called Olive. What is it? OLIFNT. What is that? How you pronounce?
It's Oliphant. Oliphant. We dropped the A.
Yeah.
Oliphant is a horn that you blow.
Oh, okay.
It's a medieval horn.
Yeah. It's a great song. That song, Oliphant, and My Pain. So somebody had some pain to talk about in the last song of the record, which is a nice long song too. It's a great record. The West is the Best. Please check that out and support Deadhorse 1. Let me wrap this up and say goodbye. Thank you so much, man. It was really nice talking to you. And I wish the band continued success, and hope you get a bunch more new listeners. Yeah. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this, please share it on your social media channels. We appreciate your support. Please check out the band Deadhorse 1. I want to thank Ludovic Naud for coming on the show. Olivier, sorry for butchering your name again. And I hope you guys have continue doing what you're doing. I love your records. You put out 5 albums in the three albums and 2 EPs in the last 9 years, 8 years. That's a lot of work, man. Keep doing it, and I'll keep listening. And anytime you put out a new record, you're more than welcome to come on here and we can talk about the new record.
Yeah. Cool.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you for everything. Everybody, don't forget, most importantly is that remember that happiness is a choice, so choose wisely. Be nice, go play your guitar or your bass, and have fun. Till next time, peace and love, everybody. I'm out. Ludovic, thank you so much for your time, man.
Bye.